Hey everybody, welcome to Kruse Control. It is Wednesday, January 4th. Thank you for being back here again tonight. We are live. We have a lot to talk about entertainment news. We're talking about movies, TV, streaming, and how it affects you and the entertainment industry. And joining me again tonight, as always, is my co-host, Miss Sabrina Vittori. Sabrina, welcome to the program.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good, how you doing? How's your day been?
So far, so good. Excited to get into this.
Yeah, and joining us tonight for the first time here on Kruse Control is Jacob Rolland. Now, Jacob has a program called iPA Sessions. It's a podcast that he's going to talk to us about tonight. So, Jacob, welcome to the program. Thank you for being here on Kruse Control.
Hey, thanks for having me. And it's Rolland.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah,
I've been
it's
saying
okay.
it wrong for that long?
The common thing. It happens all the
You
time.
know what, Jacob? You can come over here and smack me in the face later, okay? Rolland.
It's all good.
Thanks
for having me. This
I've always
is cool.
thought that. Well, we should have that conversation beforehand. That's live television, everybody. Got me right on the start.
I got you to start.
How's your day been?
It's good. It's good. I've just been enjoying this last little vacation break before work starts up again next week. So it's been nice. It's been raining all week. Can't get the Christmas lights down yet, but hopefully tomorrow we'll see.
I won't take mine down for a while. Sabrina would fight me about that too, because I love keeping it Christmas as long as I can.
Yeah.
But it's a tough thing to have your tree up into March or something. People will be like, moving on, please.
Yeah. Tree came down, just got the lights up. That's all.
Yeah. We're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. We're going to go into some stuff off the top here. We're going to talk about Jacob's actual podcast tonight and his whole path and how he got to where he is today. But let's get into it, as we always do, with some breaking news, because there's some stuff happening with CW. There's some stuff that I want to talk about today. So here is some breaking news. Right off the bat here, I want to talk about Wakanda Forever. So this is something that, everyone, if you haven't seen it yet, it's coming to Disney Plus on February 1st. It seems like it just came out in November and they're already going to streaming, which, that's how it's going these days. If you're not Top Gun Maverick, you're right there on streaming a couple months later. Tom Cruise held out. He made a lot more money. Is this a bad choice? I don't know. But Disney Plus has been pushing these out faster and faster and faster. So we'll see. So if you haven't had a chance to watch it, just so you know, February 1st, you can watch Wakanda Forever. And as always, we're going to go through a couple things, and then we'll go back and discuss about them. Because I also want to talk about the CW universe right now and what's going on with The Flash show. So The Flash, Season 9, Episode 9, you know where they're bringing back? Green Arrow. That's right.
Stephen Amell.
Coming back. He's coming back. You thought that death could stop him. Oh, no. Oh, no. Right, Jacob? Death will not stop him.
No, not the Arrow. Absolutely not.
Now, Jacob, you're a fan. You're a big fan of him, right? So what do you think about this happening, that he's coming back? It's The Flash's last season, and they've done lots of crossovers, but are you happy he's coming back?
Yeah, it's a poetic end, because it's The Flash's finale. It's the series ending. Not the episode that he's going to be showing up in, but the season is the final season for Flash. And Stephen Amell's Arrow is the show that started it all. If it wasn't for the success of the first season of Arrow, we wouldn't have the really well done DC universe that's on the CW, which is something that the TV series have done really well. I know that there's issues with the cinematic universe, but the DC universe on TV with the CW is fantastic. And it's all thanks to Stephen Amell, the Arrow, the Flash, Black Lightning. Now you have Superman and Lois.
Now you have Superman, Lois.
You've got Batwoman. So many spinoffs, so many good things happening, and they're all exciting and fun to watch. Yeah, they're a little fun, a little cheesy, and very teen oriented, but they're also for the fans, for the comic nerds out there too. I think it's well done. I personally, in my humble opinion, really enjoy it, and I think it's very, very fitting that you have Stephen Amell coming back for the final season of Flash, because that's what started the Flash. He appeared in, I believe it was the third or fourth season of Arrow. And then right after that episode, they started doing the whole show, The Flash, with Barry Allen. It was great.
Yeah, it only makes sense for him to come back now, too. It's the very end. I know that during the Crisis of Infinite Earths, they took him, off. They killed him. They, of course, they gave him a big send off. But that's the one where I had too. He had this huge send off. But I think it makes sense, especially because, like you said before, he started this whole path off. We're not really sure if this whole DC universe on the CW is going to exist that much longer too. These shows are being canceled, are being taken down. James Gunn's in charge, which we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But that how he's changing it, manipulating it, and the whole structure is going to be gone. I don't even know if Superman and Lois will have another season after this. I don't think anybody knows because of how it's changing. So I think it's fitting that he's coming back now.
It is a nice touch.
Yeah. Sabrina doesn't really watch a lot of these. I've made her watch some of these once in a while. What do you think about this, Sabrina, when you hear about this? Do you think it's a bad thing that he's coming back? Could it tarnish his big send-off? Or do you think it's good to wrap it all up and bring him back for the big finale?
I mean, it's going back to your roots, I guess. So, I'm all for that. So far as structure of the show, when you kill someone, I always think of soap operas when people resurrect themselves from the dead and they're like, oh, it's my evil twin, or oh, I was just hiding in the forest. It always weirds me out. They managed to do it very well with superhero things. I guess more believable than One Life to Live. So I have a little bit of a reservation about that, but I think it's fitting, and it'll probably be a lot of fun for the fans.
Speaking of fans too, it's also exciting because not only is Stephen Amell coming back for that episode, you have the actor who plays Diggle. I apologize, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he's a well-loved fan favorite from the show. He's going to be crossing over into multiple other shows, like he's in Legends of Tomorrow all the time. He shows up in Supergirl occasionally. So it's really cool that he too is coming back.
Yeah, it's great that they're doing this. Again, they do these big crossovers all the time, and I always love them the most because it is meshing the universes. The fact that they actually had the crossover and they had CW Flash and movie Flash, and they actually brought them together was really cool to have that moment too. It's like mixing the universes. It makes me wonder then the Flash movie maybe we'll actually have CW Flash come over to that too, because they are going to be doing a lot of crazy stuff in that movie. But they've done this well from the get-go. They even had the original Robin in the Crisis of Infinite Earths. They brought back Brandon Routh as Superman and actually did Kingdom Come, which I thought was very well done.
Really cool.
Had a lot of bad things happen with that first movie. It didn't go over like they thought it would. I didn't think bringing a kid into the equation worked too well. And I thought this gave him a good send-off. If not, to bring him back for more, because you never know in this universe now, especially James Gunn. Maybe he'll do it. And I hear he likes Kingdom Come.
Well, Brandon Routh, he played the Superman from the Fell 2000 movie. He also plays the Atom in Arrow and DC's Legends of Tomorrow. So he came back to the universe just as a different character.
Different character. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll keep you updated as this goes, because again, we're not really sure what's going to happen with this CW universe right now because of the changes at Warner Brothers, because of the shifting of the guard to James Gunn. And, a lot of it, they don't want to do it. I think the whole CW thing is going to eventually be gone, but only time will tell. But another little bit of CW news, actually, is I want to talk about Jon Cryer a little bit, because Jon Cryer, who, of course, plays Lex Luthor, if you've watched Supergirl, yeah, he's great. I think he's done a really amazing job. When I first heard about him playing this part, I was like, Jon Cryer? Like 2.5 Men? But I mean, he's had a big career besides that, but I'm just like, him playing Lex Luthor, well, not anymore, apparently. So again, changing of guard, they're changing things up. This is for Superman and Lois, the show. Of course, if you watch the show, you know that Superman's a little bit older now. He's got kids. It's a whole different thing. So they told him beforehand that, well, he's out right now. So Jon Cryer took to Twitter to confirm that he won't be returning to Lex Luthor. And here's what he had to say.
And for the record, the folks at DC were very cool and gave me a heads up that the show was going a different way with the character before they started looking. Most of the time, actors learn about this stuff when it comes out in the trades. I'm grateful they were classy about it.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of times you don't get this heads up. You don't know what's happening. All of a sudden, you read on Hollywood Reporter or you read on Deadline, new Superman cast, or or for him, a new Lex Luthor. I bet when you saw Titans too, if you've watched season 3 of Titans, anybody, we actually had Titus come in from Bosch, and he played Lex Luthor, and I thought he did a killer job. But I bet when he saw that, he was like, wait a second, I thought that it's different universes. He probably thought, well, I played this Lex Luthor before on these other shows. I played it on Supergirl before. I'm a shoo-in to come back. But this is this industry. It changes just like that. You don't know. So it's a great thing. You got a heads up, actually.
Yeah.
Sabrina, you hear about this. Did you like John Cryer as Lex Luthor? I think you saw a little bit of him playing that part, right?
I honestly thought it was absurd for him to be playing it. Just kind of just like you said, I was like, this is really bad casting, because he's like the, meek brother in 2.5 Men. Like that's what I know him from. And so I was like, wow, that's a really bad choice, and it's gonna horribly fail. But he actually does do a really good job. And obviously he does a good job, or they wouldn't have included him in all of those crossovers, and they wouldn't have given him this heads up this way. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he did his job and he did it well, and they appreciate and respect that, and they're going about it the right way.
Yeah. He's a highly, highly underrated actor. I kind of thought the same thing you did too, Sabrina, at first. I was like, well, this is odd. But then you see that episode that he premieres in, especially in Supergirl, and you're like, by the end of that, you're just completely sold. Like you couldn't have cast a better actor for that performance. And the fact that he's just so good at it. I mean, you think John Cryer, you think
shocking.
of all those, you think of all those dweeby, character roles he would play in the 80s, and you think of 2.5 Men, but like he's a highly underrated actor. I mean, there's a movie from the 80s called Dudes, and he's phenomenal. He plays this punk band guy. So like it's such a huge range on him as an actor, and he helped carry season 3 of Supergirl. In my humble opinion, he really made that season phenomenal because of just how villainous he was and so smooth about it. It was really cool. I'm going to be sad that he's not going to be coming back, but I get it because in the Lois and Lane, it does take place a little bit more in the future, so you got to go with a little bit older casting. So hey, John Cryer, you're still too young for it. That's good for me.
Well, no, there's no saying that there might not be a flashback episode or something. Like he might pop up again. I mean, Green Arrow's back on the Flash. They do this stuff all the time. So who knows?
Yeah, the world of comics, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, with all the crisis stuff too, there's an opportunity for him to come back. The multiverse stuff, you never know. And I agree. Like I was shocked when I saw his performance. It was fun because it was kind of a little bit Gene Hackman in a way. I don't know. I just had that kind of feeling. Like it was just like kind of energy. And I just enjoyed him a lot on the crisis stuff. He was great. I worked on Supergirl before he was there. I did the first season of Supergirl. So it's fun watching that show. And I wish I would have been there when he was actually on that show. But then they moved to Vancouver, so that's kind of what happened. When they shot here in LA, they shot at Warner Brothers just down the street. But not anymore. That's how it goes. Things move, things change, and that's the business. What's everybody think about that, though? I mean, the CW's changing. We'll see what happens. John Cryer put it out there as a pro. He said, hey, they gave me a heads up. And, all I can do is wish him the best because he's a pro, like I said. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Who will they cast next? I wish it was Titus because Titus was great. And if you haven't watched,
great job.
If you haven't watched I've only watched, when we're at Titans, like 5 episodes in. And Titus has only been in the first episode so far. And he was phenomenal.
Well, I personally think that show is intolerable, but he was very, very, very good. The show itself it's almost like listening to nails on a chalkboard. I actually loathe it. It is so bad. It is so bad and horrible. The acting is terrible. The writing is terrible. It is a horrible show. But Titus killed it as Lex Luthor. Killed it. And then they killed him. I was like, well, I'll never watch another episode. So you just lost me.
Well, and there's a possibility because there are on HBO Max, there are a ton of CW television shows on there because Stargirl's on there. Lois and Lane is on. Lois and Superman is on there. So there is a very good possibility that you might get Titus on the CW for the new for the new Lex Luthor role. There's a very good chance.
That would be a very smart choice on their part.
Mm-hmm. That would kind of make sense.
And he's older, right?
Yeah. That would kind of make sense because the fact that he loves the DC and the fact that he came in to do this part right now, maybe it's just like, it might be the perfect fit and they like him so much. They're like, let's go this direction. Sabrina and I were talking about that. I think he would have been great in Batman versus Superman. We were talking about that. If he would have been, instead of Jesse Eisenberg, throw him in there. And, Jesse was his own kind of character. I still think he looked too young next to both of them. And I think that Titus would have had more of that sinisterness and also an intellectual aspect that I think Lex Luthor would have been great for in the movie. And again, Jesse had his own take. It was different.
Jesse's a phenomenal actor. They were just going way too hip for that. You don't go hip with that. It just doesn't work. It's not a good choice. But
Yeah,
phenomenal actor, just not appropriate for that.
I agree.
But something else I want to talk about here too is because last night we were talking, and Jacob was in the comments talking about Nick Cage. So I read this today. Nick Cage actually is playing Dracula. This is happening. It's actually in the can. They got done shooting in October. It's coming out when? April 14th. April 14th. Yep, it's coming out. So the fact that it's already in the can, it's done. Here's a little bit about it right here. But I was reading about this and I was like, this could be really good. I love Nick Cage.
The picture is ridiculous. It appears to be taking place in the present day and not in Victorian England. As for the title role, according to Deadline, Nicholas Hoult will star as Renfield, with Nicolas Cage co-starring as Dracula.
Yeah, so he's not the lead, but here's a little bit more about the origins of this.
In the original 1897 novel, Renfield was a patient of the asylum adjacent to Dracula's new home. He became the Count's loyal servant and ate insects to feed his bloodlust, as Dracula had not made him a full vampire yet. In certain renderings of the story, he was the original real estate agent who negotiated Dracula's purchase of his sprawling English estate.
Yeah, so Nick Cage will be Dracula, a supporting role, it sounds like, next to Nicholas Hoult, who will be playing Renfield, who's, really he's like his assistant. He's like learning to be a vampire, not quite there. And it sounds like a great combination. I love Nicholas. I think he was great as the Beast. I think he's done some great character work. And I think he'll be perfect for this. Them together could be a lot of fun. We'll see. You hear about this, Jacob. What do you think? Do you think this is a great combination? Are you happy Nick Cage will be Dracula?
This is honestly news to me, like brand new news to me. And I love horror. I love Dracula, and I absolutely love Nick Cage. Anything with Nick Cage, you can't go wrong. Even if it goes wrong, you still can't go wrong. I think it's great. And the fact that he's not the main point of view for the movie, it's all about Renfield. So I love that he is the iconic figure while also being kind of in the background. I think that's really neat. And it's been great, especially because I feel like Nick Cage has had a bit of a comeback lately. There's been some really cool movies with him that I've really enjoyed, mainly because there are a lot of trashy films out there, and that's just my forte. I absolutely love just a good bad time. I love it. So I think you couldn't go wrong. And I mean, I just want to know I'm really excited to see how he's going to play this character. Like, how is he going to do this? Because that's the exciting part to me. Like, are we going to get Nick Cage as Dracula, or are we going to get Dracula as Nick Cage? Like, how will this play out? I'm really excited to see.
I'm not a good Nick Cage impressionist, but I can imagine in my head if he plays like Nick Cage playing Dracula. But I don't know. There's no trailer out. There's nothing like that yet. Probably will be coming soon, I'd imagine. Mm-hmm. It's not that far away. But I think it's a great combination. I'm excited about it. I love Nick Cage, and he does a lot of movies like we were talking about last night. It seems like he's always working. And there have been the rumors about how, he has this crazy kind of expenses. He was always buying dinosaur bones and stuff like that. Hence why he needs.
I think it's all made up. I think he just loves to act.
I think he does too. I think he's just like, let's do it. I can't do Nick Cage. Sabrina, what do you think when you hear about this? Think Nick Cage would be a good Dracula?
I agree with Jacob wholeheartedly. I think he's amazing. I love to watch him. I think he's funny. He's serious. He can do it all. And his body movement is always great. His line delivery. I love him. I love him to death. And he said, I read an article that about this Dracula, and he said that he was going to focus a lot on movement and the voice of Dracula. And he had mentioned that movie Ringu, not Ring, the one where that ring came from, the Japanese version of it.
Yeah.
The way that the girl moved, coming out of the well, all creepy and fucked up and shit. So I think that he's gonna focus on some weird body movement for this character and the voice, and he wants it to be different than any other Dracula that has been portrayed before. As we know, there has been many. Although he did also say that he watched a lot of Frank Langella's Dracula as well to prepare. So I'm really excited to see what he does. And the movie's actually, it's a comedy. So it's like that, I don't know, like Shaun of the Dead, or you know what I mean,
Right.
like some like that kind of a feel to it. So I feel like he'll have, you know, a lot of room to play with the balance between horror and comedy. I think it's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, the simple fact that it's Nick Cage, you know you're gonna get something completely different. And
I also
Yeah.
really like that it's
yeah,
set in present day. I think
that's
I
that's
know.
cool.
really fucking
Yeah,
cool.
That makes it very
really
interesting,
cool.
and too, and he's not going to be Gary Oldman playing it, of
No,
course.
one of my personal
But
favorites.
yeah, Gary's a
Clearly.
sweetheart. He's such a great guy. He's such a great guy. I worked with him on Mank, but
Nice.
he's such a good guy. And I love his performance in there. But like I said, the Nick Cage thing is just, it's a good wild card. You never know if he's gonna play it like Nick Cage from the '90s, or like he has been diving into some character stuff these days, like trying to really push forward. And I think that's a good thing, because at his career now, he's got to push. I want to see him nominated for an Oscar. I want to see it. I want to see Nick Cage up
It's
there.
time.
I think it's possible.
He won an Oscar.
Yeah,
What do you
but
win
it's
an
been a
Oscar
while.
for?
It's time again.
Yeah.
The Rock.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
been a
Oh, The
while.
Rock. Well, I'm
Yeah.
saying he's got to get back in there. He's got to get back in there. He needs an opportunity, just like Brendan Fraser's getting an opportunity right
That's
now.
right.
With
Well,
The Whale.
who doesn't
Maybe
love
he'll
Brendan
do it.
Fraser?
Maybe
I
he'll
just dropped
do a
my
movie with Darren
kombucha.
Aronofsky right now. Maybe that'll happen, and they'll have some fun. That it'll be an opportunity for him to actually stretch his wings some more. I think that'd be great.
I'm very much looking forward to this.
I'm really excited. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with this. Again, it's some Nick Cage news. I also want to ask you, Jacob, we talked about this very briefly in the chat yesterday, but my question is, Netflix, you have a DVD package still?
I still have a DVD pack. Yeah, I can.
It still
Not only do
exists?
I stream, but I still get DVDs. I actually have the 2 DVD deal. Originally, I got grandfathered in at like $15.99. I think I'm still paying that. And I feel like most people just to stream are paying $15 now, but I still get my DVDs,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
haven't changed it because occasionally what Netflix doesn't offer on their streaming site, people forget they still have a DVD service, so you can still find movies that you can't stream, but you can get the DVDs and Blu-rays.
I mean,
So
I had no idea. I felt like that was long gone, but that makes sense because they can't have everything up there. Now, you find that there's actually some fun stuff on there that you don't find streaming anywhere, like some kind of like, because I know you love schlock.
I do love my schlock, and most of my schlock I get through if I can't find rare copies around that I buy through Amazon or through eBay. I will find them on Netflix. Occasionally, Netflix will offer them up. I've been able to find a few cool foreign films too that are also hard to find that they're not streaming on Netflix, but you can find some really good Korean movies and Japanese movies that are tons of DVDs that they have out there. Now, I do know that with their new changes coming up, they may be getting rid of that soon, which would be unfortunate because there are people like me who do still get the DVDs. It's been a while since I've gotten one because I've streamed so much content lately. But I did receive an email from them recently. They're apparently sending me a new DVD, I think just to remind me like, hey, you still got a queue going on over here.
You still have this?
Yeah, so
Oh,
I'm getting
I
something
had
in the
no
mail. I'm
idea.
excited about it.
I had no idea it still existed. I thought it was long gone, especially with how it's changed over the years. Like, I haven't had a DVD package in a while, but that's awesome that they still have stuff on that you can't find.
Yeah,
It
I
makes
took
it
advantage.
much more appealing.
I took advantage of that during the pandemic. It was really helpful because, during the pandemic, there was a lot of stuff streaming, but then all the good stuff, they always take it away. So like, I prefer to own my movies. And if I can't own them, then I try to find places like Netflix when I can get DVDs from, because sometimes when you're in the mood for a movie, half the time the streaming services get rid of them. Like, don't ever expect to watch any Friday the 13th movie on a Friday the 13th. You'll never find it unless you own
Which
it
is insane.
or, rent the DVD from Netflix.
They make it that way though on purpose. I feel like they jack up their prices to all these different streaming companies and make it like almost impossible for them to license it on those days.
Well,
and people just don't do it.
Joke's on them. I own the entire franchise collection, so I'm solid. And my birthday this year is going to be phenomenal because it's on a Friday the 13th. I'm really excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, everybody, what do you think about this? We're going to talk about some more stuff. We got to move on. We don't have all night. So we're talking about something else that I was pretty excited to see when I first heard about that. Evil Dead is actually having a new movie out. Now I'm a big fan of Evil Dead. So I was like, okay, well, my first question is Bruce Campbell back? And he's not, unfortunately. But the new trailer just came out, and we all watched it. And we're going to just talk about a little bit before we get into our reaction. But yeah, here's kind of what it's about.
The movie centers on two sisters whose long-awaited reunion is cut short as a mysterious book is discovered within the older sister Ellie's building. Together, they need to fight against the demonic invasion summoned into their world, both to save their family and find closure. Despite being an Ashless sequel in this franchise in a far different setting, the decision to move it to theaters was made in part because of the trailer's performance during Cine Europe. Reports were that audience were thrilled with the direction of the movie.
Yeah, so apparently, you know, they had during this Cine Europe, and they were showing it, and people just loved it. On top of that, David Zaslav, too, when he took over, he said, we can't just have all these direct to HBO Max movies coming out. Hence, we talked about before how he axed Batgirl because they were like, well, we don't want to just make it the streaming, you know, and they saw it and they thought it was not the quality of theatrical, so they cut it. But this, they saw it and it had a great reaction. It looks great. And they're like, let's just take it right to theaters. It has a following already and makes sense. And I saw the trailer, and I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of Sam Raimi in that trailer. There's a lot of Sam Raimi. Even though he didn't direct it, they definitely are doing nods to the original, where they actually have, like, when the Evil Dead is chasing them through, you see, like, the shh is following them, which is really cool. I thought the performances, I watched both the Red Band and the Green Band trailer. I actually think I liked the Green Band trailer more. I think it had more, like, scariness, and it had more... it just felt like it was more suspense. You know, the Red Band usually I like because they show like more of the gore, but this, it was almost like just take a little bit of less away. Show me the Green Band trailer. It was more, I had no idea what was happening. It was creepy. The girl being dead. If you watch the trailer, you see like the girl's dead in bed, and then like she's like, "I'll never talk to you again," and then all of a sudden her eyes open and move, and she's like, "Oh," and there's like good jump scare. I don't know. I think it could be fun. Again, I like horror movies. I do. Sabrina does not really care for horror movies. So she loves The Evil Dead because, of course, it's more campy. It's more fun. Bruce Campbell brings this essence to it that's just funny. His comedic timing's amazing. This is going more towards the horror side. So let's start with Sabrina right now. Sabrina, you see this and you think, great or not so great? Do you miss Ash? What do you think?
I'm super disappointed that he's not a part of it. He said in an interview that he will never play Ash again in a live action version. He talked about doing an animated continuation of Ash vs. the Evil Dead, which, by the way, I know that's not what we're talking about, but I am all for. I loved that show. It was amazing. And he said it would pick up right where that show left off. So I would be super excited for that. But he is a producer on this. And Sam Raimi picked the director, personally, who he just did another horror movie, the director, something about, his name's Lee Cronin. I can't remember the movie that he just did. I think a couple months ago or a year ago it came out. I also watched the trailer for that. It looked pretty creepy. And I think they are stylistically different, but I think that it was a really good choice. It looks very much like the Evil Dead movies. It looks a little less campy, which I kind of, like in this present day. Like when the Evil Dead came out, it was a different time, you know what I mean? So I feel like they adapted it a little bit to make it, a little bit less campy. And I don't think you could pull off that campiness without Bruce Campbell, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know if you could.
So if you're going to continue the franchise and not have him in it, I love that it's just a completely new cast and that they just happen to find the Necronomicon, and that, that's...
Which looks pretty cool, too.
How it all happens.
They changed that a little bit, too, for this, which looks pretty cool still. It's also not in a cabin in the woods. We're in, actual apartment.
It's an apartment.
Or a house.
The apartment's the cabin.
Yeah, and it's like they find it there, and it seems like the same thing. They have the tape recorder playing, kind of the same thing. They turn it on, and it's like, okay, we know this world, we feel this. And then even the mother, like at the door, like the mother, she's like, let me in, and she's that was freaking creepy.
It's very creepy.
It's a cool high-rise apartment too.
Yeah,
the Green Band trailer,
Jacob,
there was a 2 jump scares.
Yeah. But which is fun. Jacob, you see this though too. Do you think it has some great nods to it? Do you think this could be a good movie? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I'm a fan, obviously, big fan. But I'm excited because of having seen a couple of interviews, and especially one I watched recently with Bruce Campbell. Going off of what Sabrina said earlier, he's not coming back to do any live action, but he's still Ash. He's the voice of Ash. So you're going to get tons of video games coming out where we can all have fun being Ash ourselves, which who doesn't want to be fucking groovy?
Right.
And I'm really excited and hopeful for this animated series. I think it'll be fantastic. But as far as the cinematic universe goes, I'm just excited to see that the franchise is carrying on. I'm really excited to see that this isn't a remake. I like that it's a sequel in a way. It's kind of a reboot to the series. It's something completely new, but it's in that world of the Evil Dead. And let's call it what it is. It's not a nameless book. It's the Necronomicon.
Come on.
That's what it is. You don't read it and shit happens. I think the trailer looks amazing. I absolutely loved it. One of my favorite lines is when, the possessed chick comes out of the tub and she looks at the little girl and she just goes, "Your mother's among the maggots now." And it's like, come on, it's great. They're getting the lines in. They're getting the vibe there. It has a more serious tone to it while still being campy. So it kind of reminds me of what they tried to accomplish with the Evil Dead remake, but they're still continuing to push forward. I think that's exciting. I think it's good. It's refreshing. And again, I'm just so happy that it's not another remake. I'm really glad they're continuing to add to this universe. And that's the cool thing. Bruce Campbell himself even said it. At this point, it's not about Ash anymore. It's about the... what's the word? It's about the
Deadites. The legacy of it.
Yeah, it's the legacy. It's the Deadites. It's the Necronomicon. Like, it's all about that and what happens. And they're out there. They're in this world within this cinematic universe. And so it's really cool that they're going to continue doing that and growing it. And it's really exciting because this is a full-on female cast. I think there's maybe one or two males. It focuses on a mother and a daughter, I believe, or sisters reuniting after a long time. So you're going to still get some badass, powerful people doing awesome shit, killing Deadites. And I'm just hoping for blood and gore and one-liners. That will make my day. And a little nudity doesn't hurt.
The trailer itself shows
there is a ton of blood and gore. Trust me.
Yeah. But there's definitely be one-liners. The fact that they have them in the trailer right there, they're like telling you,
She
like, okay, come on.
someone's hair right off of her head.
Yeah, I know. Great.
Like, I mean, Jesus.
Oh, and that woman that gets her scalp ripped off in that trailer is a phenomenal actress. I really enjoy watching her. She mostly does comedies. I've seen her in a lot of comedies. So it's cool that she's becoming a part of the Evil Dead universe as well. It's very, very fitting.
I don't even know how you could.
In the picture, it's funny. The poster, which I have up right now, it like really, she kind of looks like Bryce Dallas Howard a little bit. but like when she's like a Deadite, which is kind of weird.
What was that movie from the early 2000s? Silence or something like that. Oh, the James Wan film with the killer puppet. That's what it reminds me of. Silent. I think it's called Dead Silence. I think.
It does look like a puppet.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. It's done really well. I mean, it's definitely like in the vein of what Sam Raimi was doing before with the special effects makeup. It looks like it's more like actual practical effects and actual practical stunts, and not just a lot of CGI too, which I think is pretty cool and refreshing. And I think that makes it better.
Believable. The storyline's believable because
it's great.
Like, there's 3 books, right? So though it's not the same book that Ash had last. It's one of the other 2 books.
Yeah, and again, it allows to open up for more storytelling in this universe, that you're going to get more of the Evil Dead, because we know it's the Necronomicon. It's out there, and there's multiple ones. So it's really cool that we're going to get a story focused on, like, well, here's some stuff going down in Los Angeles. This is what's happening out here. So it also makes me excited for what's going to come after. And I'm not really aware of this new director, but he's a European director who's made some really interesting films that I plan to watch. But in all honesty, I haven't seen any of his films yet. But they look cool. He's got one called Ghost Train, and I think the other one's like The Hole in the Ground. They look scary. They're very European, kind of folky looking, which I'm a fan of. So I'm definitely got something new to check out until April, when the Evil Dead rises. I'm so excited, y'all. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am definitely going to go out and see it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And again, the nods are great. I like the horror. It's got the good shock value. I think it'll be fun. Sabrina will probably hate it, but love it.
And Ash, Bruce Campbell,
Ash.
There is, his voice is, I know, but I should call him by his real name, not his character name. His
Well, his real
voice
name
is
is
going to be in
Ash
the movie
Wednesday.
on some recording.
Ashley.
I think he
Ashley.
plays like a priest or something on a recording.
Yeah, he gets to be
Oh.
the
So
voice on the
there
recording
is-
now.
There is a
That's
little,
nice.
you hear him for a
Little
minute,
nod.
which is really sad.
It's
Yeah, maybe
perfect.
they'll
It's
do
a nice
something
little.
like they did.
Mhm.
Like the
So
last
great.
one, the Evil Dead, the original one, the remake they did. He was in the credit scene and he popped out and just like groovy or something
Yeah.
like that.
Groovy.
In the end credits.
That's
Maybe
great.
they'll do something like that too. You never know.
Yeah.
But
Just remember,
I thought it
guys,
was good.
shop smart, shop smart.
You got that. All right. Well, what do you think? Watch the trailer, everybody. Let us know what you think. We're excited. We're Evil Dead fans, so it should be fun. And if you haven't seen like Ash vs. the Evil Dead, go out and watch it because it's a great show too. Like he did an
it's
awesome
so
job
good.
3
I think
seasons.
it's on Netflix
It ended too
now.
soon. It ended too soon. It ended like almost exactly where the third movie ended, Army of Darkness, where it's like, come on, I want more. But that's how it goes
Big
sometimes.
cliffhanger.
Hopefully, we'll get more with the animated series.
The animated
Fingers
series, yeah,
crossed.
I'm really
I want that to
looking
come
forward to
out, and you'll get Ash. You'll get the Ash. You'll get Bruce fucking Campbell, and that's all we could ask for.
That was a great cast, though. The
Wonderful
girl who played
cast.
Kelly, the guy who played Pablo. I mean, they were so good. Lucy
So good.
Lawless was great. It was a
Amazing.
really, really great cast.
You know what's great too
Unfortunately, it
is
was on
Lucy
Starz.
Lawless was quoted once for saying someone asked her before she started out in Xena. Someone had asked her in her early acting career, what she thought of the Evil Dead series, and she just said, that's the most disgusting, just gross thing. I would never affiliate myself with anything to do with that. And then
Really?
she goes and marries the one of the creators of it, not Sam Raimi, but the other guy, and then she ends up starring in Ash versus the Evil Dead, and
That's
she
hilarious.
was a big part of helping. Well, she didn't have anything to do with the musical, but the people from the musical reached out and they all were like, yeah, you got it. Have the rights, have fun. And she went to the premiere for the musical. She's a lovely woman, a very talented actress, super professional. And she is just as cool as you would think she is.
Well, I'm
I
excited
had no
to
idea
see.
she married the other creator. I had no idea.
Maybe
Yeah,
she'll
that's
be a
her-
part
yeah,
of
her
something
husband,
else moving forward too.
I have such a brain fart right now, but the guy who did Xena and the guy who works with Sam Raimi all the time.
Every time, yeah.
That's her husband.
That's awesome. Well, everybody, what do you think about this? Check it out. Watch the trailer if you haven't watched it. And we'll talk about it probably once it comes out too, because we'll definitely have to react to this movie because it's going to be, I'm definitely excited about it. I think the trailer looks great. So we'll see. Never know though. A great trailer doesn't make a great movie. So hopefully it does in this case. We're going to move on and talk about, we were kind of talking about this for a second though. We're going to get into some more of the DC stuff. So I've been interested to talk to Jacob about this too. So we've talked briefly about this before, but James Gunn, as we said before, has taken over for DC. Now people are saying, well, can James Gunn actually stop the studio? Can he actually have his vision? Because, oh yeah, we signed him on for 4 years, but does that mean actually it's going to be his vision, or is the studio going to interfere? We're going to have the same thing that happened with the DCEU before, where it's not connected. We're hiring and firing people. Well, so far he's been proving that he's in charge. And here's what they've been saying about it right now.
As Warner Brothers Discovery WBD preps for 4 new DC movies to hit theaters in 2023, Gunn has shared some of what he and his partner Peter Safran are planning for the future, making waves through the fandom. This includes the announcement of a new Superman story without Henry Cavill, along with plans for a new Batman adventure.
Yeah.
James Gunn has said, "The position is different than it was with Zack, etc. Peter and I are the heads of DC Studios. The only studio interference would be from us."
Right from the man's lips himself. It's like, I love James Gunn. I love him so much. And this right now is only proving that, he said before, I'm in charge. Nobody else is in charge. Zaslav put me in charge. That's it. Well, his actions alone have been saying that. I don't know if you've seen this, Jacob, but like when he sat down with Henry Cavill, he said, like, I had to have a conversation with him because he's not my vision for that Superman. They just signed Henry Cavill to come back.
Yep.
He was in Black Adam. The Rock fought for him so hard, but that doesn't align with his vision. So he sat down and said, hey, man, I'm sorry, but we're not using you now. Maybe use you in the future, which you never really know. But at least he was honest and he sat down as a human being. With The Rock, the same thing now. It's like, now The Rock's probably out as Black Adam. Same thing. He's sitting down with people. He's doing business. He's telling them, this is my vision. I love your work, but it's not my vision. Nobody's stopping him. So you hear this. Do you think that his vision is going to be great? Or do you think, Jacob, that He should have stuck with some of the old stuff, because a lot of people love these characters, or these actors, I should say, that are playing these characters. But as he said, it's more about the characters themselves and not the actors, and they need the best storyline. Do you think he has the right path he's setting forward on?
Well, first of all, imagine the balls that it has to take to not only be honest in Hollywood, but to be honest and let The Rock and Henry Cavill know, hey, I can't really use you right now.
Right?
Like, just imagine what that has to be like. So that right there is a great step in a great direction, that he's sitting down, talking to them, letting them know, being honest, and that the smartest thing that Warner Brothers and the DC studios could have ever done is give James Gunn full-on control and stay the hell out of his way. Because if they're smart, they'll learn, like Disney and Marvel Studios learned, let him do his thing, because James Gunn is amazing. I'm biased because he's one of my absolute favorite directors, one of my absolute favorite creators and story writers. He's just amazing. Everything he touches, to me, is cinematic gold. But that's because he comes from the world of Troma. He comes from the trashy cinema universe. And now he's here bringing all this crazy, crazy stuff to life for us. I mean, you couldn't have made a better sequel to Suicide Squad. He pulled a James Cameron. He revamped an entire dying universe with a sequel. You know, he pulled a Terminator 2. He pulled a Aliens. Like, he brought it back to life. Now we have Peacemaker. You know, we have all this new stuff that he's talking about, like, let's go this direction. And they're allowing him to do this. And he is, like he said, I'm the studio, so anyone says no, it's me. I love that. And I'm excited to see with where it goes in his hands, in his very capable hands, which he clearly loves, and he clearly is a fan. In my humble opinion, James Gunn can do no wrong. And I don't care what he makes for DC, I'll watch it. And even if Black Adam comes back and he doesn't get The Rock, I'll watch whoever plays Black Adam. I'll watch whoever plays Superman. I'll watch whatever that man makes, because I absolutely love what he does with the universe and what he does with cinema in general. He doesn't just give us this superhero movie that's just full of all this crazy stuff. He gives us so much more. There's so much character development in Suicide Squad 2. So much character development that it spun off a TV series. So, right. I mean, he's got the talent and he's got the capability to make this happen. So I'm very much looking forward to this.
And
That's a really good example of what he could do, because you leave Suicide Squad 2 hating Peacemaker. And then you watch the series and you love his dumbass.
You love him.
So,
yes, it's so
like,
good. And you love to hate him and hate to love him. He really fucks with your emotions. It's great.
But at the end of Suicide Squad, when I heard that they were doing a spinoff with him, I was pissed. I was like, are you, of all fucking people, this douchebag? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I was so mad. And then, of course, I watched it, and I'm in love with it, and I can't wait for a season 2.
And
the dance in the beginning, are you kidding?
Can't top
the
that.
Best.
One of the greatest openings for a TV show of all time.
Do you want to taste it?
But my song was like playing on nonstop in this house, like for months and months and months. Actually, I think it's time for a reboot of that here.
It's been a minute.
Do it.
He also is really great with music and cinema. Like, look at the soundtracks for Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Like, I mean,
it was so good he made a mixtape.
Seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
And how clever is that? Awesome Mix Volume 1 and 2. I mean, honestly.
So good.
Like, I love the way that he brings music into it. I love the way that he brings dance into it. I love the way that it's like a fully encapsulated experience. You have like everything in one place.
He pushes the boundaries of your imagination. There is no limitation with his films. Because you can be like, there's no way you can make a giant evil killer starfish. Oh yeah? Check this out. Hold my beer.
And it looked great too, by the way. The CG was amazing with it too. Even when the stab in the eye, like that looked really good though. I mean, it was gross.
Yeah, that was super cool when she flew through there. That was cool. But that thing was, when that thing showed up, I was like, are you kidding me? This is what we're doing?
Look at this guy.
And his Suicide Squad also had like the absolute worst characters from the comics. I mean, Polka Dot Man. But who didn't walk away loving Polka Dot Man? That's what I'm saying. You walked away loving him.
And you feel so bad for him too. You feel so bad with his mom. Yeah. He's a great job. And the performances, what he pulls on the people. Here's what I'll say about him too. Like when you look at like Zack Snyder, like I do love a lot of his movies, but they're always very visual. And I've said this before, like he is the visual director. He's more of a cinematographer a lot of ways. He's not really the actor's director. So if there's really great actors in his movie, usually they're amazing. But I'm going to tell you something about Henry Cavill. Like he's a great actor, but he needs direction. I think sometimes he just needs that in that moment. And I think that hurt his Superman at times because he was very broody. I mean, I think he just kind of read it that way in the tone. And then I don't think Zack Snyder directed him enough sometimes. There are moments where it was there, but I think if he would have had a little bit more, if he would have had James Gunn maybe being his director, I think he would still be Superman right now. Again, James Gunn's in charge, but
let's just admit the worst mistake with Batman versus Superman was having Batman and Superman both going, "Oh, you have a mom? I have a mom too. Now we have something in common."
Martha! Yeah, that was definitely a bad call. I mean, I get it, the connection, but the way they played it out, especially during that fight and everything, it was just like you finally waiting for the Batman versus Superman. That's this whole thing, pointless. Batman versus Superman, and then the Martha moment, and everyone's like, which of the director's cut?
I literally looked at the movie and went, I looked at it in that moment. I went, yeah, I have a mom too. So what? Let's get this on. Like, where's the match? Like, let's go.
Oh, here comes the CG monster.
But
here we go.
Is your mom named Martha? That's the question.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, then it doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Okay, fair enough.
But I'm excited to see what James Gunn does. I think that's at the end of the day, really like excited. Superman's first. He's supposed to. I was really hoping before we went on tonight, they're supposed to like actually put his whole slate out this week, so it might not be until Friday. Maybe he's waiting until Monday, but he said the first week the slate was coming out. And I'm really interested to see like what his lineup's going to be for all the movies. Because I mean, this is him. He's in charge, and he's saying it. It's my vision for 4 years. Hopefully, that's gonna be a good vision. We still have Joker happening with Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, as I like to call her, which is a musical, which will be interesting.
I'm a big fan of hers. I respect the crap out of her. She is a phenomenal actress. Not only is she a phenomenal singer, but I really have grown to love her as an actress. I think she's really good.
And it's gonna be a musical too, which is like right up her alley, you know. So. It'll be interesting to see how they do it because he's not the Joker. He is the Joker. He, maybe he inspires the Joker. They really have kind of like kept it in a gray area.
About that, I don't know how I feel about that.
They're just having fun.
Joker.
They just like to keep teasing Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker without being the Joker because they just love messing with us. That's all that is.
It's just weird. I don't know how I feel about it. I can't take a stance. It's fucking weird.
Before we move on, I want to ask Jacob one question here. So Jacob.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're James Gunn, right?
I wish.
And you're sitting in that room with The Rock, right? You're sitting in that room with The Rock, the people's champion, right? He's staring at you. He's raising his eyebrow. How do you fire him?
You go, first of all, you'll always be the people's champ. And then you pray that you can get through the firing without losing any physical body parts. No, The Rock is an amazing human being. He's totally professional. But maybe he can give you a choke slam on the way out the door. Maybe the rock bottom, people's elbow. Who knows? Either way, it'd be a great honor. In fact, if I was to fire him and he did do those things, I would be very happy about it. But no, I don't know how you can go about doing that. Because I mean, everyone loves The Rock. Like, how do you have this? That's what I'm saying. Imagine the balls. How do you have this conversation? I can't even imagine what it takes to tell The Rock, hey, just didn't work.
Sorry.
Go a different direction.
It's been fun. I know you said you're reshaping the DCE universe, but
but who knows? Who knows? We don't know the extent of this conversation in this room.
Yeah.
Maybe they have plans to keep doing something together. Maybe he plans to continue doing something with The Rock. He may not be Black Adam, but there's so many amazing roles that he can do. So much opportunity there, especially because I feel that he did handle everything right, especially how he handled it with Kruse Control. So, imagine that he could bring both of them back to the cinematic universe. I think, again, he's very capable. He has the talent and he has the ability. He could easily bring both of those actors back into the DC universe. And who knows, they may play the same characters or they might be someone completely new.
Or it might be some kind of multiverse thing, too. That's big these days.
DC, Marvel, the comics, they love doing the multiverse crap. So who knows? And I think if you are going to do multiverse, Henry Cavill would be an amazing Bizarro. Bring him back as Bizarro. That would be great.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Especially we'll see.
I don't think James Gunn's going to jump on that multiverse bandwagon. Give him some more credit than that.
No, he's not going to jump on it right now. He's got to build the universe first. He's got to rebuild this garbage heap he was given. and make it something beautiful. He's turning trash into treasure, and that takes a little time. But for James Gunn, he can get it done in 5 years, 20 movies. I can see it happening.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Everybody,
years,
let us know what you think. We got to move on. We can
Mass
talk about this for a
production.
long time. It's time to talk about Jacob's stuff a little
bit.
bit. I know we're gonna talk about this forever. We're gonna move on though to our featured topic of the night.
Hey.
All right, this is the time of the show. Jacob's here. I want him to have some time to talk about his show.
Hey.
IPA Sessions. You can watch it on YouTube. He's got it on TikTok now. You can follow him. Please check it out. This is going to be something great for everybody that actually wants to talk to or like listen to people that work in the entertainment industry, that are showing you how to do it, that are teaching you their path, and maybe you can learn from it. So Jacob, I just want you to let you get into this and just, talk about your show a little bit. Tell our audience about IPA Sessions.
Well, IPA Sessions is a podcast for independent artists. It's a place where I like to try and provide inspirations for practical application, IPA, in entertainment. And I'm someone who loves to talk, but this is a place where I give a platform for the guests that come on, the independent artists. It's a place to help promote their work and for them to share their personal experience and journey of what they've gone through. I've interviewed actors, writers. I interviewed an illustrator, which was really cool to have him on. I've interviewed musicians, people who create TV series, people who have tried to do all kinds of things in the independent world. Singers. The first season is done for right now, but you can go back and listen on Spotify, Anchor.fm. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon Music. We're on most platforms out there that you can find podcasts on. And it's a very simple 30 minutes to about an hour discussion with these artists, and they just tell us what they're there to talk about, what they're there promoting. And if you're someone who's like looking to get into this industry, whether you want to be an actor, a musician, a writer, a dancer, you want to actually be a real artist that paints and draws, these are my guests that come on and they tell you what they do, what their struggles are, but also what their triumphs are, what they've achieved, what they've had to put up with, what their financial takeaway is, and why they continue to do what they do. We are mostly starving artists. It's a tough world, but at the same time, I interview people just as crazy as I am because we absolutely love doing what we do, which is putting ourselves out there and being creative. And I like to try and give them that platform to speak. And I hope that whatever their experience is, whatever their personal journey is, will, affect someone else who can take their story and learn from that and go out there and do it themselves and know what to expect, to understand the hard realities of what can happen. Brian, I had you on my show and, you gave a great interview talking about your TV series, The Valley, and how you went about creating this monster of a massive thing. Yeah, it took a lot of work to create this. And you told this really great story of like after you had done all this hard work for like years of filming and working with people and getting it edited, you had to get a distributor. And you had this amazing story where you had this distributor that you called and they just laughed at you for 30 seconds nonstop, just laughed at you and then hung up on you.
And then clicked.
And then it just clicked. And that's a hard reality that a lot of people who are in this industry are going to have to face. You have to learn to be thick-skinned. You have to learn to persevere. You've got to be determined. It's okay to take some criticism and understand how to listen to the feedback that you're getting, but try and work off of that, make yourself better, but also have faith in your own work as well. Don't listen to all the negative, but pull pieces from it and allow it to make you a better artist, a better content creator, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. I have a new season coming out. I'm hoping to air season 2 sometime early February, maybe the Friday, I think it's February 2nd. Nice. all kinds of people coming on this season. I've got a really cool interview with a death match professional wrestler who does these crazy like death match wrestling stunts with barbed wire and glass tubes. It's insane. So I'm really excited to have him on. I have artists coming on. I have actors. I have people coming back talking about their new work. So you're going to get a little bit of guests from the previous season talking about where they are now, what their new stuff is, some updates. I've got new musicians lined up. I have new filmmakers lined up. I'm trying to get new talent out there. I'm looking for anyone. I mean, if you're a dancer, I would love to interview you. If you're someone that's out there and you professionally dance, if you're someone out there, I have a stunt person that's coming on. They're going to tell me I have a stunt woman who's going to be on. So she tells me about the world of stunts, what it takes to make it in the world of stunts. I know a lot of people are like, hey, I want to be a stunt man. She'll tell you how to go about it. And that's the cool thing about my show is that I allow these people to tell their story, what they did, and you do your best. If that's something you want to do, to apply what they're saying and make it a reality for yourself. And just know what's going to happen and what's going to come along the way to prepare yourself. Because if you really want to do this, do it. That's it.
And a lot of people don't, as we talked about in your show, it's like people get scared, and it's like it's just taking those steps. And it's a big thing is finishing too. A lot of these projects, people just don't finish. And that's very unfortunate. You spend all this time, this money, and this effort, and then you just stop. And it's like, then what's the point of all that? Like I talked to you about in the show before was, for the calling, when I was calling these places, it's like, yeah, the show's done. Sabrina and I were like working our asses off to get together. Scoring was taking a long time, but like the scoring happened during COVID. We figured it out. And then it's just getting somebody to air it. And it's like, oh, it seems like, oh, you got a product. It should be the easiest part. You got something done. Good. No. I mean, people don't want to answer your phone calls sometimes, Yeah. So you just got to keep calling and calling. And I went through the yellow pages and called every freaking distribution place in town and eventually found somebody. And that's what you have to do. You have to persevere and push. My question for you, though, what's one of the best stories you've had from somebody that's been on your show so far?
Other than the one I just told about you that made me laugh about the person hanging up on you, that was one of my favorites that made me giggle. I had a conversation with one of the guests on my show, and it's a I don't know how to phrase it. It's sorry, I know we're live. I'm taking up airtime.
You are good. This is live, everybody. No, that's the fun part about this too, is just going through and thinking about it and having a good time and just having an open conversation on the fly.
Yeah, I had an illustrator who did a children's book, and it was a really cool interview because I had never myself personally been interested in those kind of things, but I have a kid. He's 6, and this was something that was really unique to me because I was like, oh yeah, illustrators, that's a great thing. And I didn't know that most, authors and creators out there are independent. You don't all have publishers. And this guy, he collaborated with another artist. His name is Michael Garriga. He collaborated with another author. I apologize, can't think of the author's name off the top of my head. But they made a children's book. She wrote it, the author wrote it, and he illustrated the images. And he had a chance to kind of bring what he said was like his childhood imagination to life. And he was able to create all these different characters, and he was able to bring out all these really cool images that brought the story to life. And for someone, you think a children's book, that's not very difficult to do. It's 2 or 3 lines per page, but as an illustrator, you have to bring those 2 to 3 lines to life. You got to show almost like an entire movie playing out in one image with no motion, because a child is looking at that and they got to see everything. So it was really cool to hear that perspective. And this was something that they were just doing. It was brand new to them. They were learning on the go. It's a really great episode. I highly recommend checking it out. It's How to Be an Illustrator with Michael Garriga. It's one of my earlier episodes from season 1. Fantastic episode. And I've had other great artists. I had a young artist on that I really enjoyed her story because she was super young. She's 17. She is a up-and-coming singer, and she talked about how her music helped her with her mental health and how she used that for her creativity. And she's so young, but super talented. Her name is Kaylee Lauren. Also a great episode. Check it out, along with many, many other guests. But I learned a lot that I myself have never either had interest in or just didn't have a clue about it, because I like for myself, I like to write and create and podcast. But it's really cool to bring these artists on and get their stories. And there's a lot of good stuff that I'm learning from season 2, but I can't talk about it right now. But I have met some really good artists that I've talked to. So we have a good lineup so far, and I'm only trying to keep it growing. But I will say this. I am trying to get my show to grow and keep up with everything. So I am starting up YouTube and TikTok. And through doing YouTube and thank you. Yeah. Through doing YouTube and TikTok, I've been able to apply everything that I've listened to from these filmmakers that I've interviewed. And that has been super helpful for me because I've been able to make what I feel is pretty good content. My YouTube is mostly just audio tracks and clips that you're getting to hear from the podcast. You can catch every episode on YouTube. But for TikTok, it's been really fun because I got to make it flashy. I got to make it interesting. So it's like I try to pop up images that correlate to what the guests are speaking. So that way I don't lose the attention of whoever's watching the video. So I actually pulled a lot of ideas from Michael Garriga when he talked about illustrating. I pulled a lot of ideas from my guest Darren Manell when he talked about as a creator, what is it that you need to make your stuff work? I pulled from there what you have told me, which is persevering. I'm like, how do I make this work? How do I make it happen? And it's pushing through and committing. And I've done it. I've got multiple videos up. I'm still making content. Once season 2 airs, you'll get more clips. So follow IPA Sessions on TikTok, follow it on YouTube. We have a Facebook page. We have Instagram and Twitter, but I don't know for how long I'll have Twitter.
Twitter's changing a lot.
Yeah, it is.
We're on Twitter too. It's just, you never know though. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that platform, but it's great that you're putting it everywhere. That's what you have to do. Get it out there and you just keep putting it out there and you keep trying and trying and trying. And that's how you get viewers. That's how people find it. And you're already having great strides already moving forward. It sounds like with the people coming on. How many episodes is going to be season 2?
Season 2, so first season 1 was 13 episodes plus a bonus, so it was about 14 total. I did a Halloween special. That was also really cool. We talked to scare actors because they are artists too. They scare the crap out of us on Halloween, and it's a really cool episode. Check it out. So for season 2, I am hoping to make it the full year. I'm a bi-weekly podcast, which means I air every 2 weeks. I usually air on Fridays. I'm trying to fill up the entire calendar year. I want to make at least 20 to 22 episodes if I can. That's the goal.
Nice. That'd be great.
To try and really fill up that calendar. So please, anyone out there, if you're an independent artist, I don't care if you make crafts, if you paint wooden fences, if you do murals, if you do anything that is creative, if you make beatboxing sounds, come on my show. I want to have your story on my show. I want you to tell us how you do what you do, why you do it, and share your journey and your experience with everyone else out there, because I guarantee you that if you are doing it, someone else also wants to be like you. Inspire them. That's the main goal. Inspiration.
Yeah, Sabrina knows that so well too, right, Sabrina? Being inspired, putting yourself out there. When we did The Valley, I mean, we met actually on Harrison. I did this short film called Harrison, and Sabrina was an actor, and then we kind of branched out into creating together. So it's a lot. It's a lot to do, and especially working a full-time job, because as it is, when you're starting off, you can't pay the bills doing that, right? So you're doing this and you're putting this effort out there, Jacob. So let me ask you, how do you do that? How do you do that working a full-time job? Because we didn't say this earlier, but Jacob also does locations. Yeah. So Jacob works on different TV shows, movies. He's been building his way up there, doing, you're looking at a movie. Someone's got to go out there and find that location where they're shooting at.
Right.
It's a lot of work. What's that job like? And then balancing that with the podcast.
Well, I love my new job. I'm an assistant location manager right now. I just moved up into that world. I PA'd on set for 8 years. It's actually when me and you met. You were standing in. I was a fellow PA. I was the glorified coffee bitch for so long, but I finally moved up into a different aspect of the thing. And basically, the locations job in cinema, it keeps me working in the industry, which I do love cinema, and it helps pay the bills, and it allows me to have the finances to fund myself. I have to buy my own equipment for my podcast. I have to buy my own equipment for any projects that I decide to do in the future with friends when I write these scripts and shorts that eventually I would like to try and bring them to life, film them. So this is what pays the bills. But podcasting for me is something that I've just kind of got into and I enjoy. I do like to talk, which is funny because my show is really the artists talking. They do most of the talking. It's all about them. But it's really nice to kind of take a step back and listen. That's something that just in general in life, I'm learning to be better at, which is just listen, be a good listener. And it's been really
Now
cool.
we're giving you time to talk now today too, because this doesn't usually happen, right? You're usually the one that's...
I feel so weird. I feel on the spot. I'm not comfortable with it. Now I guess I know how my guests feel when I talk to them. But it's cool. I like it. I'm growing with it. And I juggle that. So right now I've been taking advantage of the holiday break, which has been so cool because there have been so many other, again, people in this industry, especially a lot of people I've interviewed that work in the industry that are independent filmmakers and stuff like that. This is the perfect time to record sessions with them because they have time off. And then of course, once this week is over, we hit the ball running and going right back at it. So usually I record mostly on weekends when I'm working. And again, when we work in film and TV, we'll work for 2 to 4 months straight. Then maybe we'll have a week or two off, and I try and schedule sessions during that time. And my show, when I record a session with you, I work on your time. So I let you know when I'm available, but whatever time works best for you, I coordinate around. So if you're like, hey, I can't make this time, I can only do this time, I will do my best to try and coordinate that I can stay on your schedule because it's about you, the artist. So that's what I try to do.
And we can vouch for that. We're going to come back on the show. Sabrina and I are. Last time it was just me. But this time, we have Kruse Control, and it's like with this, we're trying to put ourselves out there some more, and we love collaborating with people like Jacob. It's like good people that just are doing the same thing, hitting the ground running, trying to make an imprint on this world because we come out here, we give up so much. And that's like one thing I like to talk about in the show too, is like how much sacrifice there is in trying to work in the film industry and trying to make your own path. You give up time with your loved ones, your family. Sometimes we move out there with you. Sometimes you live in this town. The majority of people that live in LA are transplants, and we come out here. But now the way the world works, you can do this anywhere, but still to break into it, you got to come here. And for this, it really can help inspire people. And I think that's great, Jacob. I think it really can help people see other ones' paths, because when you come out here, nobody has the same path. It just doesn't happen. Like you think, well, there's got to be a path to be an actor. So if I want to be an actor, I got to do what? Like there's no rhyme or reason. Yeah. You want to be a writer like you too. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you get in there? How do you start getting your scripts out there? How do you get people to look at it and read one page? There's no blue book. There's no guidelines for it.
There's not. I met a graphic designer who has his online print shop, and just hearing that story, and he's an old friend of mine from back home, but it's so cool because I was like, I didn't know you did this. Tell me more. And it's really cool to hear these stories from people and the uniqueness of what they do, because it's awesome. And I would be a hypocrite, Brian, if I didn't come on your show and help you out, because you've done so much for me as well. And also being someone who makes a podcast for independent artists, that's the whole point, is I want to support other artists. That's why my show is fully independent. I do it all on my own. I do my own edits. I do my own production. I do my own promoting, my own pictures, everything I do myself. It's all me. But I wouldn't be doing what I do as well as I do it had I not done the first season and had a chance to talk to all these amazing artists who gave me helpful insight and inspiration and encouragement. And that's been really cool. So I do appreciate you having me on, and thank you for letting me talk about my show on your show. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah. I love that you came on. Great insight today. It's been a lot of fun talking about the subjects and getting into it. Here we're just trying to have fun and talk about the world we live in, right? And how it can affect you and affect everybody else and give people an inside perspective. That's really what this is all about. And that's like your show is too. It's an inside perspective for people that have no idea how it actually works. And then maybe they're thinking about coming out here. Maybe they are out here and they've been struggling and they're trying to find their way. Well, we tune in, listen, hear it from people that are actually hitting the ground running, the ups and downs, like the problems you get into, the stumbles, all of that, drama you get along the way. That happens a lot of times. There's a lot of times that you think you work with somebody and you can't. That stuff happens. It's just the life of the business. It's a lot of personalities jammed into one town. And now we have to coexist. It's almost like the driving out here. People from all over the world, how do they all coordinate together? They don't too well, by the way. That's an inside thing. They don't.
The
Terrible example.
there is one really cool takeaway from my show that's been a really cool personal experience for myself through podcasting and talking to all these people is there is so much positivity that I've heard through the negative times when these artists are doing like whatever the negative walls that they hit whenever they feel like they've hit their lowest point or they've hit this obstacle they've run into where they don't know how to push forward, but they've overcome it somehow. It's really cool to hear the positivity in their experience in those negative moments. And they, like you said earlier, persevered, they pushed through, they completed it, and they got it done. That's the payoff, is hearing all this negativity and finding the positive in it. I think that's been a really cool experience for me. And I'm one of those people, I'm kind of an optimist. I am. I'm always optimistic. And so I really like hearing, I feel like there's more of us out there. We just don't express it as much. But yes, it's really cool to hear that experience from people when they're expressing the absolute worst moments of their career and their creativity, but hearing how positive they sound because they're like proud. They're like, I did it though. I pushed through that crap and I did it. And that is so good to hear. And I love hearing that because my other goal is when you succeed, your success is my success. And I like hearing people succeed.
Yeah, that feeling at the end of the day being like, you did this, you accomplished it, that goes a long way. And a lot of people these days don't want to fight and work hard for something. They want it handed to themselves. It's kind of like what I call it ADD America sometimes. It's like you get kind of stuck in a way and you want it now. Because
and that's me.
I am. Yeah. I'm the same way. I am. But like, I feel like you have to have that work ethic and know that you got to keep hitting that ground. You got to keep running. And a lot of times it doesn't fall onto your plate. You hear about people in this town all the time that's like, oh, well, they were, walking their dog and all of a sudden an opportunity came and that person saw them and then they're like, oh, it was great. Or, they bump into someone at the street and they have like their script falls through the air and someone picks it up. I mean, crazy. That's a crazy story, but I'm just saying that's not normally how it works.
A long time ago, that stuff used to happen all the time, but it's not like that anymore.
No. Sabrina, you've been on here for a long time too, right?
A pizza parlor, like that's not gonna it's not gonna happen. That's not how it goes.
Yeah, they're not gonna pluck me out of the mall.
If someone is picking you up in a pizza parlor, they probably are gonna try to do some shady things to you in order to give you what they say they can give you.
Yeah, you're working on the wrong movie.
Buyer beware.
I can't wait for us to be on your show too, because Sabrina too, she's been out here longer than I have.
Yeah,
and she's experienced a lot, like in her career too, kind of like her path in general, from studying in New York for acting to coming out here from the actor studio, coming out here and actually getting involved and learning and working on all these big productions and producing herself. Like Sabrina, you've done a lot too. Like, what do you think about this? Tell people your path too. Like, how do you feel? What have you learned along the way too? Do you think that you can bring to the show next week when we do ours? And also, like, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, how do you feel about opening yourself up and sharing your personal experience?
Well, first of all, we're 12 minutes over, so I'm not going to share my personal experience right now. I am going to say that I look very much forward to coming on your show and sharing my personal experience because that's what your show is about. I've been here for a really long time. It's been hard. I've had really great times. I've had really crappy times. My path has changed many times. And I chalk it up to you live and you learn. And even no matter how much you live and learn, you're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to make wrong choices. You're still going to think something's good that it's not. You're still going to be fooled. But the more times you go through a scenario, the better you get at it. And the easier you can navigate your way through, whatever that may be. Whatever job you're doing. My career has shifted a bunch of times. I used to I was a server always, and I would like work on set here and there doing background. And, then I started standing in and I would bartend on the weekends because I wasn't enough to make ends meet. And then I was working all the time and I didn't need to bartend anymore. So I stepped away from that. And, then I was kind of, this pandemic kind of threw everything on end, but like while doing all that stuff, standing in is great and all. It's a cool acting class. You learn how to find your light and, find the lens and like all these things. It's great. And you are employed for the duration of a show, which is awesome. I love working on set. It's like a little family. it's great, but there's no advancement. You can't go anywhere from there. So it's like you're kind of trapped. There's no, like, when you're a PA, then you could be an AD, and you go from a second to a second to a first AD, and then you can direct. Like, there's a ladder to climb, and standing in, there is no ladder to climb. So you either have to kind of make your own way, or shift into something else, unless you want to be that 60-year-old stand-in who's,
which some people do.
Professional stand-in.
Yeah, I mean, and they do, yeah.
Career stand-in,
I know
they
people
exist.
that
I'm
do
fighting
it
that.
I know some people do it for a job, like that's their choice.
And they don't want to do
They get the
anything else.
insurance, and they enjoy, and it isn't. But that's not that's not what I envisioned when I came out here. So it's things take you different places. People meet you. Like I started working at Hawk Anamorphic. I bartended their events. Is how I started. Over there, and they loved me, and I work there pretty much full time.
Fantastic.
So it's things happen that shift things in your life, and it's all a learning experience. I think your show is great for that reason, because sometimes you are set on doing one thing and you wind up doing another. Sometimes, it's just opportunities that you get, people that you meet, things that it's not, unfortunately, it's not like I'm a good actor, but that doesn't mean I can just walk onto any set and be like, here I am. That's not how it works. You know what I mean?
But you get to share that frustration too, and that experience that you learn through it that leads you to those roles that do pay off.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Even just auditioning. Sometimes you have an audition and you're like, that was god awful, and then you get a call back. And other times you're like, I killed that, and then they're like, bye.
Crickets.
Like, so
Crickets.
you
Click.
never know. Yeah, it's
a lot of work.
It's a grueling industry. It's a lot of fun, but it's also, if there's a lot. You have to, like you said earlier, you have to have thick skin. You have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to not take things personally. And I come from New York, where you would go and audition and they'd be like, that is absolute shit. Do not ever come back in here. And other times they'll be like, well, we're going to call you. And they actually did. Here, they just blow smoke up everybody's ass. You know what I mean?
Not so much.
Like, you go on your own opinion, like, oh, I did really good. And then you don't get a call back, or you're like, and then you do. Like, so it's harder. In New York, it was very much more straightforward. Right. But it's all, it's all a learning experience, and doing what you love.
I only have one thing to say. Tune in to season 2 of IPA Sessions, because Sabrina's going to have a great episode.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait to come on your show too and talk some more. It's great to have you here though, Jacob. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Really, thank you.
It's been fun.
It means a lot to us, and we hope to have you back again soon. Of course, this is not the end of our discussion. There's a lot more stuff to talk about, a lot more stories to get into. If I give you one more moment here, just kind of like tell everybody about your show one more time, sum it all up, and give your final pitch, because we want everybody here at Kruse Control to go over there and check out Jacob's show.
It's IPA Sessions. It's a podcast for independent artists. It's a place where I like to provide inspirations for practical application and entertainment. Tune in bi-weekly for fresh new episodes from independent artists who share their experience and their journey and what they do and how they do it. It's a new season coming February. Be looking out for it. You can follow social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok for all you youngins out there. I know I'm old, but tune in. Listen to your elders. We might have some good info for you. So that's IPA Sessions podcast.
Yeah, it's everyone really should check it out. You should really get into it and look at it, or listen to it, I should say, because Jacob does a great job. He brings on some amazing people, and he's a great host. And honestly, you're going to have fun listening to it. You're going to learn something. If you're trying to get into this industry, you're going to hear some great stories from people that have busted their ass and are finding their way, if not found their way already. And I believe that that's what this is going to turn into even bigger for him, where he's going to have a lot of success stories on his show eventually too. So join him now on this path that he will take you on, and you're going to have a great time.
Well said.
Anyways, we're going a little bit over tonight because we had to talk about Jacob's stuff. We had to talk about IPA Sessions. Check it out. Everybody, please. Sabrina, thank you so much for being here again tonight. Appreciate you as always.
Also, please like and subscribe and share to our show. Thank you.
Yes.
Like and subscribe. Yes. Share. Kruse Control.
Yes. Kruse Control. Jacob, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you, Jacob.
No problem, guys.
Appreciate you.
This was fun.
as I was getting in my spiel, please like, subscribe, join our Patreon if you can. Share, because that means a lot. That little subscribe button at the top of that page, it means a million things that you don't even think. It takes 2 seconds. It gives a notification, ding, ding, ding. Oh, Kruse Control is live. Yes, ding, ding, ding. New video. Please, everybody out there, do the same for Jacob. Like, subscribe, get in there, help him out. That's what we gotta do. That's what we do here at Kruse Control.
Click
we help
the
out.
subscribe button. It's so easy. Just click
So
it.
easy. I know. Please just click it.
Toughest
Anyways.
thing in our world.
A lot of people don't get it, but Anyways, thank you all again for being here tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you back here tomorrow night on Kruse Control. And until then, take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.